Welcome to the Anthro Art Podcast, a space of anthropological insight connected to real-life situations. Here we explore topics of social inequality and inclusion, sustainability, and the social self. We aim to bring a more nuanced understanding of our world and its challenges, but also inspiration and ideas on how to solve them together. We hope you enjoy it.
The kids are all right, are they? Exploring the intersection of climate change education, sustainability, and policy design for empowering youth. A text written by Alexandra Ciocanel and Andrada Istrate, read by Katia Pascariu. In 2023, we won the call organized by the European Institute in Romania to write a scientific report on the youth in EU and climate change. We were supposed to find better ways of engaging young people in political decision-making regarding climate change and sustainability. Our mixed method study comprised a literature review, the analysis of data from various Eurobarometers, and a series of in-depth interviews with young people and various stakeholders in Romania. We analyzed attitudes and behaviors related to climate change, perceptions of public policies, and civic participation at the EU and Romanian levels. We moved beyond their quantification in surveys and divided into a more in-depth understanding of people's experiences and thinking, as well as contradictions and tensions of practical living in ways that are, or could be, more sustainable. This approach helped us map a broader spectrum of experiences and, unsurprisingly, learn how young people are not only today affected by climate change. Moreover, this approach signaled the pitfalls of imagining youth as a homogeneous category, as important differences can be identified along age, group, social class, education, and geography. We lack the space here to do justice to such diversity. We focus instead on common and powerful concerns echoed in our research on Romania. The need for more climate change education and the displayed lack of confidence in young people as viable, if not equal, partners in political decision-making. Other studies also reveal that climate change and sustainability education in Romania face several systemic challenges. Climate education lacks standardization and is predominantly driven by NGOs and the voluntary efforts of individual teachers rather than being an integrated part of the standard curriculum. More quantitative studies reveal that approximately 30% to 50% of young students did not take any classes on sustainable development, climate change, or biodiversity, despite a vast interest in doing so and the governmental support for such education. Such a paucity of education was echoed among the youth interviewed in our study, who were unaware that such classes could exist. In Romania, young people primarily learn about environmental issues from TV, the internet, and their social networks, yet they often distrust these sources. This skepticism, coupled with the challenge of navigating information in a post-truth era, underscores the need for formal education to both teach critical evaluation skills and provide a scientific understanding of climate change and sustainability. Further, the stakeholders interviewed in our study, representatives of ecological and youth NGOs, drew attention to the complexity of teaching climate change and sustainability notions, as these need to be delivered by people with a solid understanding. They argue that to be effective, education needs to be translated into concrete practices and attitudes. At this phase, most interlocutors pointed to the important role of the government in going beyond programmatic documents that allegedly license measures to tackle climate change and implement more sustainable solutions. The lack of formal education reverberates throughout various areas of social life, an important one being civic participation and activism. In Romania, not only do we lack a similar figure to Greta Thunberg, but the cultural context here tends to view the emergence of such an icon as generally undesirable. Most of the young people interviewed in our study, even though supporting tackling climate change and wanting to live in a more sustainable lifestyle, felt that the forms of more aggressive activism encountered in Western Europe, such as those promoted by the Stop Oil movement, are too much and missing the point. NGOs representatives described young people as less inclined to participate in activism due to a gap between intentions and behaviors. First, this issue is evident in everyday life. Many young people express concern about climate change and want to adopt more sustainable habits. However, they often struggle to do so, primarily due to lacking of infrastructure supporting these behaviors and the broader lack of recognition for such efforts. Secondly, the lack of role models in civic participation can lead to a sense of apathy among Romanian youth. Even those who are initially motivated may become discouraged by the prevailing status quo, finding it challenging to enact the changes they aspire to see. If more mundane forms of civic participation might nonetheless be imagined as desirable and reasonable, we surprised our young research participants when asking them about ways of being more involved in policy design and implementation. What becomes transparent was a profound lack of entitlement or capacity, as the policy was usually understood as a top-down measure coming from powerful actors in society. At the EU level, initiatives such as the Conference on the Future of Europe 2021-2022, events marking 2022 as the Year of European Youth, and the European Green Deal 2020, have been established to expand platforms for civic participation and to involve more people in policy-making processes. However, they typically depend on participants' self-selection and have yet to establish more concrete ways of ensuring broader, more representative involvement. In 2021, the European Commission published a guide to promote youth participation in the Just Transition Mechanism, a program supporting regions most impacted by the shift towards a climate-neutral economy. The guide emphasizes involving youth in co-creating and implementing policies inclusively and justly at all stages. A report on implementing the guide in 12 EU countries, including Romania, shows limited youth involvement. In only 7 countries were they consulted, and even then, only to give feedback on pre-drafted documents, not in initial creation. Other methods included workshops, working groups, and surveys. However, the report highlights the risk of these methods being mere tokenistic civic participation, lacking a true bottom-up approach that actively involves young people from policy design to implementation and monitoring. Our research found that while young people are interested in such opportunities, they also feel intimidated by the idea of contributing, leading to a reduced sense of their input's value and the general feeling of powerlessness in influencing public discourse. We propose rethinking our approach to public policy, addressing its recurrent inability to meet complex challenges and the current deficit in creativity and innovation. Co-producing through design thinking methods has been increasingly advanced as a radically more democratic form of policymaking. Drawing on Elinor Ostrom's research on the management of common pool resources, co-production entails a different configuration of the relationship between policymakers, practitioners, and service users by enabling citizens to play an active role in the production of public goods. Co-production can take place at different levels, and there are different strategies and ways of implementing it. Though not without its critiques, including its understanding as another neoliberal tool of shifting responsibility from the state to the citizens, it nonetheless remains one of the most powerful methods of public consultation that currently exists. In the following, we advance some co-productions inspired suggestions for the problems identified in our research by framing them as "how might we" questions. Such questions are a design tool commonly used in ideation workshops, aiming to move from learning about the problem space to generating solutions that truly meet real needs. Though this article is rather an unidirectional attempt, we hope it has the potential of opening broader conversations, enabling a future that brings all the kids forefront in policymaking. How might we enable a formal education that fosters a long-term, practical adaptation of sustainable behaviors and attitudes? An environmental NGO representative interviewed at the end of 2022 asked a fair question. How should the educational system be organized to appeal to today's youth? Moreover, how can scientific climate change writing be mainstreamed to reach a generation intensely socialized in digital technologies, highly diverse in terms of origin and simultaneously cautious towards politicians, corporations, and media? The consensus among Romanian youth interviewed is that climate change education in Romania is precarious, with limited educational resources, ill-equipped teachers, and outdated teaching methods. Our interviews reveal the necessity for a type of education that caters to contemporary needs, focusing on environmental issues and climate change. The youth interviewed propose an education reform based on 4 tenets: rethinking the curriculum, adopting new teaching methods, learning by doing, and expanding access to climate education. As such, more interview emphasize developing a curriculum that addresses current challenges, particularly climate change. This involves merging formal education with informal learning techniques and fostering an interdisciplinary approach. The curriculum should cover the scientific, social, and economic aspects of climate change. Incorporating real-world experiences, such as partnership with NGOs and industry sectors like renewable energy, is considered crucial. There is also a strong push for modern digital teaching methods, exploiting young people's familiarity with digital technologies, the internet, and social media. Innovative tools like educational video games are proposed to transform students into active learners and critical thinkers. The learning by doing philosophy is highlighted, with hands-on experiences seen as critical for engaging youth in environmental issues. For example, educational gardens, like those in Spain, offer practical insights into natural processes, sustainability, and climate change. Lastly, expanding access to climate education is vital. This includes diversifying delivery channels, such as online platforms and extracurricular activities, offering resources in multiple languages, and aligning with young people's communication preferences. In Romania, creating a platform for environmental organizations to supply schools with up-to-date information and methodologies for youth engagement in environmental protection is suggested. Strengthening collaborations among NGOs, educational institutions, and universities is viewed as essential for empowering young people in environmental advocacy. How might we enable the development of a civic attitude oriented towards sustainable ideals? Developing a civic attitude oriented towards sustainable ideals requires an integrated strategy that combines practical education, effective communication, hands-on awareness initiatives, and equitable access to sustainable resources. This approach offers a comprehensive strategy to cultivate a deep-rooted sense of ecological responsibility and active participation in sustainability efforts among young people. Central to this endeavor is the role of education, specifically through the concept of sustainable schools. By integrating green infrastructure and sustainable practices into the educational environment, students are not only taught about sustainable, but also witness its practical application in their daily surroundings. This method of learning by example is key in instilling a deeper understanding and commitment to sustainable practices. Such initiatives make sustainability a tangible and relatable concept for students, fostering a lifelong commitment to environmental stewardship. Another key element is effective public communication about climate change. The study highlights that while young people may be aware of climate change, their understanding of sustainable practices and behaviors is often limited. Broadening this understanding through targeted public communication campaigns can play a significant role. These campaigns should use various media channels popular among the youth for wider reach and engagement. By presenting climate change and sustainability in contexts relatable to young people, such campaigns can transform abstract concepts into actionable knowledge. Awareness of the circular economy and sustainable businesses is also critical. Educational programs and workshops that focus on the circular economy can help young people understand the impact of individual behaviors on the environment. Initiatives like the Food Waste Combat Project, which educates students about food waste and ecological footprints, provide practical, hands-on experiences that reinforce the principles of sustainable living. Lastly, addressing social equity is vital. The study underscores that the costs and benefits of the green transition are often unevenly distributed, disproportionately impacting low-income groups. Policies and programs must be designed to ensure equitable access to sustainable resources and opportunities. This includes thermal rehabilitation of buildings, reducing energy poverty, and promoting sustainable mobility accessible to all. Such inclusive approaches ensure that sustainability is not just a privilege of the affluent, but a universal norm, fostering a civic attitude where every individual, regardless of their socio-economic background, is empowered to contribute to sustainable development. How might we involve young people in co-designing policy? Our research shows that in designing policy, it is important to shift from viewing citizens as passive recipients of policies to making them active agents. Consequently, it is important to distinguish between 4 different types of engagement. Involvement through facilitating awareness campaigns, coupled with consulting young people and taking account of their recommendations. Co-creation through encouraging young people to define problems and solutions in their own terms. Implementation through creating an institutional space in which young people can implement their own solutions. And monitoring and evaluation through ways of making public authorities accountable along the process of implementing policies. Creating an institutional space able to deliver all types of engagement at scale is certainly a great challenge now, but we suggest that the first steps can be small and local, starting from creating a national network of small groups of young people who have a platform to express their problems, participate in workshops and working groups, and meet policymakers. Promoting young talent through calls for solutions to specific problems can be another approach. Emphasizing inclusivity is key, linking climate action with social justice. To combat feelings of inadequacy, adopting open, learning-friendly formats is essential. This could involve playful, game-based learning in familiar settings like schools to engage youth in contemporary challenges. Again, we are back to school, and to the need that such a space becomes one of liberatory education that widens governance and decision-making and redefines our current understandings of cultural, of success, by including care for people and the planet as a central value of our actions.